All right, welcome back. This should be part 3 of the music appreciation August 17th. Okay, part 3 of the music appreciation August 17th. Okay, we're gonna be still on this worksheet. Okay, rhythm, it takes up so much more time because it's so much more complex. Okay, so we're gonna be working on rhythm just a lot more than notes. Okay, so just to review real quick. Okay, just a review. Okay, so we got the whole note, 4 beats. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how we'd count it. Then we get the half note, 2 beats. We'd count it 1, 2. And then we got the quarter note, 1 beat. Okay. We're just gonna go over real quick the next set. Okay. We won't do that very bottom set yet because it's not important. Okay. But we're gonna go over that next set. Okay. Set you down. Where you can see it a little bit better. Okay. All right. As you see, these quarter notes, okay, so we're right here. Quarter notes are right here. As you see, each quarter note now splits up into 2 halves itself, okay? So we went from 4 beats, split the 4 in half, went to 2. Now we went to 2 and split the 2 in half, we went to 1. Now we're at 1 beat and we're going to split the 1 beat in half, okay? When we split the 1 beat in half, that leaves us with a half a beat. 1 beat, half a beat. So our next note, okay, you would probably might think it's pretty simple, okay? Because if we go from 4 to half, or for a whole pie, or a whole, I like to think of it as a pie, okay? When you're cutting a pie, if you think of a whole pie, you cut it in 2 pieces, that leaves a half. You cut it in 2 more pieces, you got 4 pieces. If you cut the 4 in half again, you're left with 8 pieces, okay? So this next note, like I just said, this next note is going to be an 8th note, okay? I'm only going to write out 1 square, okay? So I'm just going to write out this square down here. But this goes for all of them, okay? This goes for all of them. I'm just going to write out this first square, okay? Like I said, this is called an 8th note, okay? An 8th note, okay? We're just going to write we're going to write 8th and note, okay? And like I said, an 8th note gets half a beat. 1 half beat. This gets a half a beat. Okay. We won't get into 8th notes this early in class, but I want you to just go ahead and have it just so you can have it. Okay. An 8th note is just like the quarter note. This gives us filled in circle with a line. Okay. You got a filled in circle with a line, except this time you're going to put a little flag on the end. Okay. We call that a little flag. Okay. Notice the quarter notes up here. You only got the circle, you got the filled in circle with a line. This time we got a filled in circle with a line and a flag, okay? It gets 1 half of a beat, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and do this one, okay? 2, because usually when you're talking about 8th notes, usually 8th notes are paired in 2s, okay? Usually 8th notes are paired in 2s in music, okay? So, like before, we counted everything. Okay, we got big 1, 2, little 3. Okay, big 1, little 2, 1. Okay, if we were talking about 2, 4, and if we were talking about 4/4 time, which means there's 4 beats in a measure. Okay, we got big 1, big 2, big 3, big 4. Okay, because there's going to be 4 whole notes make up 4. There will be 4 quarter notes in 1 measure. Okay, which, like I said, we'll get to all this later. Okay, if we were to count this, okay. The first, in a grouping of 2 8th notes, the first one always gets the number, okay? And listen to that again. In a grouping of 2 8th notes, the first 8th note always gets the number, okay? So, if I was to count this, okay? This first 8th note would get a big 1. Get a big 1, okay? The first, now like I said, 2 8th notes usually come together. Sometimes they don't, but usually they do. Okay, in the cases of the 8th note we have an 8th note. The first 8th note always gets the number. The second note gets an and count. Okay, an and count. So if you know how to draw that little the and symbol, okay, don't spell out and like A-N-D. Don't spell out and. We're going to use the and symbol. So you just draw a line down, draw a line diagonal, and then a line across, and, okay? So, let me say it again. In a grouping of 8th notes, like I said, 8th notes usually come into groups of 2. The first one gets the number. the second one will always get the and count. Okay? So what am I saying? Like, what do you mean, Mr. Parks, they come in groups of 2? Okay, usually eighth notes will be written like this. Okay, usually eighth notes will be written like that on music. Okay, this little line right here is the flag. Okay, that little line right there is the flag. Okay, and so when we count this on paper, we would get that first one, the big number, so big 1, and we would get that second. Then we would give that second one the and. So it'd be 1 and. Okay. So if I was to give a beat, okay. If I was to give a beat, so this is my beat. Remember, these are quarter notes. The quarter note always gets the beat, okay? Or the beat is a quarter note. And the reason the reason we say the quarter note is the beat, because if we look at the quarter notes, they each get 1 beat. So the quarter note will always be the beat. Say that with me. The quarter note will always be the beat. So quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The quarter note is always the beat. Okay, just remember that. Quarter note is always the beat. Okay. So we go. This is the quarter note. There's going to be 2 eighth notes in this quarter note. 1 and, 1 and, 1 and, 1 and, 1 and, 1 and, 1 and. You hear me saying the 1 and, okay? The quarter note always gets the beat. Sorry. I'm going to adjust this camera. My prop using this phone up is not doing so great. Okay, so listen again. 1 and, 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 1 and. See, quarter notes this. Eighth notes are faster. Okay, now I'll show you a little bit. Now, like I said, I might be getting ahead of myself here doing this, but I'm just going ahead and show you in this. Okay. But for right now, and I'll reiterate this when we get into later videos, okay? So go ahead with these right here, okay? All these right here need to look like that, okay? Look like that, okay? Now you don't have to sit here and write out eighth note above each of them, okay? Just draw this out. I just want you to draw this note in each of those, okay? Good. All right. Now we're not going to worry about if you need to pause the video for that, pause it, okay? We're not going to worry about this line yet, okay? We might, if we get to this line, we'll get to it. If we do, if we don't, we don't. It's okay. This line's a little bit more advanced for this class, but if we get to it, we will, okay? Now I need you to go to the back. Go to the back of this page, okay? I'm fixing to pause this video so I can switch this. All right, I'm back, okay? Now you should be on the side that says rest, okay? Now, just like the big front side, this is going to be a lot similar. The beats are going to be the same. The count sequences are going to be the same, okay? It's just different ways, the symbols, okay? And the notation is what's different, okay? So we're going to start with that first big square. Okay? So just like the front, okay, we said the first big square, the longest note we can hold out is a whole note. The longest rest we can have is called a whole rest, okay? Just like the beginning, okay? Like the other side. So we're going to write out whole rest. Whole rest. Okay. Whole rest. Can you read that? I hope you can. Okay. A whole rest. Whole rest is going to be, we're going to draw a line. Okay. You got a line. And then you're going to draw a box below it where that connects it. Okay. So you see that? So whole rest is going to be a line with a box attached to the bottom. Okay, just like the back. This gets 4 beats. 4 beats. 4 beats. All right, and also just like the front, the counting sequence is going to be for this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Big 1, little 2, little 3, little 4. Okay, big 1, little 2, little 3, little 4. Now the difference between the whole note and the whole rest is 1 you're playing and 1 you're resting. Okay, so to show that we're resting for this one, we're actually going to take our count sequences over here and we're going to put dashes in them. Okay, so dash, 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 dash. Okay, I'm going to put that up there so you can see that. Okay, see how I put dashes in those notes? Okay, the reason we put dashes is so that we represent silent, okay? Remember that dashes represent silence, okay? Say it again, dashes represent silence, okay? So we got the whole note, the whole rest equals 4 beats, and you count it big 1, little 2, little 3, little 4, and all the numbers have a slash in, okay? So just like before, we got a whole rest, 4 beats. We're going to split our four beats in half and get 2 beats, okay? So the next, if you can guess what the next little section is going to be called, it's going to be called a half rest. Half rest. It gets 2 beats. Okay, it's going to be count big 1, little 2 with dashes. Okay, big 1, little 2 with dashes. And it's going to look kind of like this one. So I'm going to start with a line. Again, except this time, the square is going to be on top. Okay, the square is going to be on top. See that? See how they're different? Squares on top, squares on bottom. Squares on top, squares on bottom. Okay, so just like the front, the half rest gets 2 beats. Okay, and it's kind of big 1, little 2, or big 1, little 2, but numbers going to have dashes in them because we're representing silence. Okay, I'm trying to hurry up because we're running out of time. Okay, the next one, okay, we got the half notes. Okay, we went 4 beats to 2 beats. Now we're splitting the 2 into half. We get 1 beat. Okay, so what do you think the next note's going to be? The next rest is going to be called. Okay, if you take a guess, I'm gonna get this up here. Okay, if you take a guess, the next square is going to be called a quarter rest. A quarter rest, okay? Again, it gets 1 beat, okay? And the counting sequence is 1 with a dash. 1 with a dash, because remember, the dashes represent silent. Now, this symbol is a little tricky to write. So the way I write it is just squiggly. Okay, I guess do a squiggly. Okay, let me write it up here a little bit. Okay, squiggly, kind of like that. Okay, whatever works for you, it works. I can't really draw like quarter rest. It's kind of hard. Okay. Okay, so we got 4 quarter rests that make up. There's 4 quarter rests in the whole note. Okay, 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 quarter rest. Okay, and then we're going to end it. Okay. Like I said on the other side, each of these quarter notes divide up into 2, okay? And just like the front, we'll call these 8th rest. 8th rest. Okay, see that? 8th rest, okay? Now these are kind of easy to draw, okay? What you're going to do is really just going to draw a circle, a little bitty circle, and a 7. Okay, can you see that? It's a little bitty circle with a 7. A little bitty circle with a 7. Okay. And remember, this gets a half a beat. Half a beat. Okay. Half a beat. And remember, the first 8th note always gets the big number. If I was to write out a second one, another 8th rest, that would get the and count. So 1 and. So finish drawing in those rest, okay? So those 8th, so the whole, okay? Okay. First box should have been a whole rest. Big 1, little 2, little 3 to 4 dashes, okay? Then we go to the half rest with dashes, 2 beats, 1, 2, and then the quarter rest, 1 beat, okay? Gets a big 1. And then the last one, 1 and the 8th rest, okay? Make sure you put slashes between those. I didn't put slashes, okay? All right, I know that was a fast video, okay? We will review this tomorrow, okay? I promise we'll review this tomorrow. Please make sure you do your homework, that note naming sheet, okay? Do your homework, lines 2, 3, and 5, and 6, okay? And I will see you tomorrow.